What's up, everybody? Welcome to my kitchen. I'm Laura Lee from Uproots Wellness, and today I'm going to be showing you one of my ultimate all-time favorite snacks that tastes like dessert, heavenly dessert, and has the benefits of, you know, a freaking smoothie, really. I mean, smoothies kind of taste like dessert too, but this is even better. We're gonna be doing cheesecake parfaits. And I'm telling you, they're to die for. So basically, I was gonna show you my favorite summer way of making these parfaits with all this fresh fruit that I've got, but then I got these really nice organic cherries and I let them sit in my fridge for ages until they weren't that nice anymore. So I thought that instead of doing the summer version, when we have all kinds of really lovely fresh fruits that are ripe and in season, I thought maybe I would show you a little bit of a winter version. And given the time of year that we're going to be putting this out, which is like fallish, that might be a better idea anyways. So instead of the fresh fruit version, I'm gonna show you the cooked fruit version. We're gonna make a compote with some of these berries that I've got. I will show you the fresh fruit version as well with the peaches because they're lovely and fresh and ripe and ready to go. The benefit of doing it this way as well is that if you are watching this in the winter time, you can do this with frozen fruits that are really easy to get during the winter time. Frozen fruit and vegetables are a great way to eat, you know, nutrient dense out of season. So yeah, if you've got some frozen cherries or frozen berries or frozen whatever, you can go ahead and grab those and use this recipe just the same. So right now I am just scoring these cherries. It's actually not really necessary. This is the same kind of way that you'd pit olives for something like this, like making a tapenade or something. It's a really simple way to do this. I'm using this lid for one of my bowls because the cherry juice is so stainy, but you pretty much just want to like smash the cherries. So you're gonna smash the cherries and then they pit really easy. You can even throw the pits into your little mug there that you're using for smashing. I'm gonna work straight into a little pot here because we are going to be making a cherry compote to go with our cheesecake parfait. Gosh, you can see my cutting board right now. This barely helped. So we've got our cherries all pit right there. Douglas is scrubbing out the cherry juice from my cutting board because it stains so badly. But we're gonna pop this onto the stove with a little bit of sweetener and a tiny smidge of water. And we're gonna do the exact same thing with our organic blueberries. And like I said, you can easily do this with frozen blueberries. Okay, so we're just gonna add a touch of some stevia sweetener here to both of these pots. You can see our blueberries back here. And this won't take long at all. We just want to kind of warm them through and start them breaking down just a little bit. And while we're waiting on those to heat through, I'm going to show you this summer version. And you definitely don't need to go through this step that I'm going to show you. You can just use, you know, cut up fruit like in a classic parfait. And for something like as sweet as peaches, that might be completely fine. And I eat them like that lots of the time. But for something like strawberries, if you're like me, I am super spoiled by having fresh strawberries. And strawberries from the store, there's usually, you know, there'll be one or two in like a whole carton that'll kind of satisfy my craving for like a really sweet strawberry, you know, but for the most part, strawberries from the store are like very not exciting for me. Just gonna stir these, turn them down. I'm gonna turn this one right down. You don't want to cook them so much. You still want that fresh kind of summer flavor when we're doing this, regardless of the season. But yeah, for store-bought strawberries, something like store-bought strawberries where they actually are generally, you know, the majority of the packet will be lacking in sweetness, this is such a wonderful way to make them so yummy and sweet and fresh tasting. And for me, this is like kind of the only way that I'll eat store-bought strawberries. So just pulling the pit out of these peaches, and I think I'm just gonna go with maybe slices today. You could, you know, cut them in whatever way you want. You can use any fruit you want. One of my favorites, and happens to be the cheapest, if you're doing a lot of parfaits, like for a whole week for 2 people, like I normally would do, something like a cantaloupe works really well with the parfaits, and you can skip this step with cantaloupe too. Cantaloupe is a really sweet fruit if it's nice and ripe. But even sometimes, you know, you'll get a cantaloupe that isn't that sweet, and this is an excellent way to really boost that sweetness. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a bit of our stevia here, and we're just going to coat it a bit. And I'm just going to work that around so that it kind of touches all of the different surfaces of the fruit. And what's going to happen is this sweetener, you know, you can use sugar too if that's your preference. Absolutely, this is where, you know, I got this idea. This is how you make pies and stuff. This sweetener is actually, you can start to see it happening already. It's going to start to pull the juices out of the fruit and make kind of like a syrupy, sort of saucy kind of action in there, as well as bringing out all of those wonderful sweet flavors in that fruit. And I have a bit of blueberries left over here too, so I'm going to throw those in just for fun and mix it all around. And I'm just going to let these sit and start to make that syrup. Okay, now we're going to make a slurry. And a traditional slurry is made with cornstarch, and you can definitely do that. I prefer tapioca because it has less of a slimy consistency. It's a little bit easier to work with, I find, and it freezes better. So it's messy, but you can usually get this stuff in Asian food markets. And I'm just gonna mix that up into a little slurry with some cold water. And we're just gonna pour a bit in here. You can just watch that thicken up. And we'll just turn off the heat. And there we go. We got the makings of cherry cheesecake. Now we'll pop over to our blueberry cheesecake in the making and do the same thing. Awesome, right? Turn off the heat. And there we go. Now we're gonna make the crust. So I'm gonna use 1 part almond flour. And if you want the ingredients in all of the precise amounts, just click on the blog link below. So we have 1 part almond flour, maybe about 1 part, maybe less, a little bit less than 1 part desiccated coconut, unsweetened if you can find it. And I just realized that the walnuts I got, I usually get like the little pieces that are all kind of smashed up, because they're a little cheaper and I normally only use them smashed up. But these are actually not smashed up, so I'm gonna have to smash them up for us. But about 1 part of walnut pieces as well. So another way I've seen this done that would take out this step is in a food processor and adding a couple dates to it. That'll make it stick together, make it more like a classic pie shell. So you could make like a cheesecake sort of pie, or like more like a traditional cheesecake sort of crust with those dates. But I like it like this, and I'm gonna keep it simple today. We're gonna add a little bit of cinnamon to this. This really gives it a graham cracker taste for some reason. And a touch of sweetener. So now we're just gonna mix up our cheesecake parfait crust that is totally gluten-free, sugar-free, low carb, high protein, full of lovely omegas, and it tastes amazing. So I'm gonna make parfaits a few different ways here, 3 different ways. So I'm just gonna line the bottom of these with my crust, and you can decide however much you wanna go with this. At times when, if you're counting calories and you wanna make this really low cal and you really want it to be like a high protein snack, you can actually just use this topping or you can use the crust as like a topping. And maybe you're doing the high fat thing and you'd actually really want to bulk this up and put a really dense crust in, depending on, your personal preference at the time. So these are going to be the classic parfait style that I would store in my fridge, cheesecake parfaits. And this one I'm going to make a frozen cheesecake dessert. So I'm just gonna line a tray or a baking pan. You could probably use a pie pan, would be the best for this, but I've got a little square pan that'll work just as well. And I'm just gonna line the bottom of this parchment with my crust. You could also too, if you wanted a larger carb hit, you could, I do sometimes mix oats in with this crust, and that really soaks up all of the liquid from the cheesecake filling, that we're gonna make with Greek yogurt, the high protein cheesecake filling, and makes it really kind of almost like soaked oats on the bottom, but extra good. So you can really choose your adventure here with this food. Now the last part in our high protein cheesecake parfait / frozen cheesecake high protein delicious snack pie is the cheesecake. So I'm using Greek yogurt. Right now I've got like a grass-fed 6% Greek yogurt. This to me is a little bit on the fatty side. Just for flavor wise, etc. I prefer a 2%, so I would highly recommend a 2%. I don't necessarily recommend a 0%, but if you're using a 0% Greek yogurt, it is actually can be quite tasty when paired with the nut crust that we're making here. Sometimes I have made these without crust, just as like a really good protein fiber / whole food high quality carb hit with the fruit. And to keep it low cal, you can leave out the nuts, but I would highly recommend that you stick with a 2%, something with a little bit of fat in it for this recipe, because it doesn't really taste like cheesecake without the fat. Trying to incorporate the liquid that has separated because I don't want to lose it. I don't want it to be even more intense. But Greek yogurt is so crazy, and in a cup of Greek yogurt, you can get like almost 20 grams of protein for negligible calories. So Greek yogurt is like a powerhouse of a snack, and to make it like this, like you wouldn't believe how good this stuff tastes. So we're going to be quite generous with the sweetener again, because cheesecake is sweet. And you can use maple syrup, agave, you know, whatever you're into. I prefer stevia. I think that it's a really great way to get sweet flavor without eating too much sugar. We're going to include fruit in this. So there is like an element of carbohydrate, there is an element of fructose, of fruit sugars. So we added our vanilla and our sweetener, and that is it for the cheesecake filling. So this is quite liquidy right now, but it will firm up. I'm just gonna pour this over. Okay, so my frozen cheesecake pie here, I'm gonna just stick in the freezer right now. And these little parfaits, I am just going to top with our compote mixture. And if you want to make this vegan, you can use silken tofu in the same way. You're just gonna whip it up and then pour it into the molds, just like we would with the Greek yogurt, and it'll set and firm up. You'll just have to wait before you add your fruit at the end. And then we are simply going to pop this in the fridge, and it's ready to go. Now, you can obviously use larger jars than this. I am really into little snacks right now, but I have in the past made them 2 or 3 times the size for like considerable snacks during the day. So that's that for the parfaits. I'm gonna make a big batch of these and stick them in the fridge, but as soon as the freezer pie is done, I'm gonna top that with our peaches and our blueberries and hope that it's amazing. All right, so we've got our little frozen cheesecake, and we're just going to top it now with the peaches that we did earlier. So kind of mix these around a bit. You can see that they've gotten shiny and there's like a syrupy sort of coating on them that's totally sugar-free, and it's gonna taste wonderful. And there we have it. So this is not really meant to be a pie crust, if like to slice it and kind of serve it up. It's more like a parfait, but it'll give you kind of that frozen yogurt ice creamy texture with that high protein Greek yogurt cheesecake mixture in the center. And I'm gonna get Douglas to come and taste test these because he's had my regular parfaits, but he's never had a frozen one or the ones made with compote. So, do you want to do the honors and take a big bite?
Whoa.
It is pretty sliceable actually if you like it. Ooh, yum.
I got myself too big of a bite.
You see that? The crust has gotten all kind of gooey, absorbing the cheesecake mix. How are the peaches?
Oh my god, that's amazing.
It's really just enough sweetener to bring out the natural sweetness in the fruit. It doesn't add it like an artificial flavor at all. Just enhances it. So, oh, let's try the compote. So again, all of this is super high protein. It's totally low carbs. There are carbs in it from the fruit, which are a high quality carbohydrate, whole food sugars that'll satisfy you, as well as giving you a really good snack. Which one do you want to try first?
This one.
Blueberry?
Yeah. Right to the bottom. Get the cheesecake. Okay. Oh my god.
Ooh, it's super chunky.
That is delicious.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. That does taste cheesecakey.
This will get firmer as it cools too.
Oh my
These
goodness.
are still pretty liquidy. Easy to grab on the go. Super high protein, low fat, low carb, delicious. Greek yogurt, cheesecake, done 3 ways. Thanks for watching, guys, and we'll see you next time. And we're sharing more snacks and dinners and desserts that are healthy and really amazing to eat. Until next time.